Welcome back to my channel, guys. In today's video we're going to be designing Amazon. We are going to be discussing the functional and non-functional requirements. We're also going to be designing the APIs, and I believe if you can grasp what I'm going to be designing and explaining in this video, you should be able to design and build what sort of e-commerce site out there, like Walmart, Flipkart, eBay, and Jumia. So stay tuned. So these are the functional and non-functional requirements we'll be covering. We are going to be covering the search functionality. When you search for a product on an e-commerce site, what goes on behind the scene, the recommendations on homepage. You'll be surprised. Let's say you buy 2 sneakers on Amazon. If you come back, let's say a month later, you start seeing more of sneakers. We're going to be discussing and explaining how that works. When you place order, what goes on behind the scene. When you try to check your order status, if it has been shipped from one location to another, or if it's been delivered to you, we're going to discuss how that works. And we're going to be discussing the right review products, giving your reviews on products. Let's say you bought a candy from Amazon and it was very good. You can just go under that product and you'll give your review for other customers to see and buy too. So we're going to discuss how that works. And for the non-functional requirements, we are going to be making sure that our system is highly consistent. What does consistent means? Let's say when you place an order and you were trying to buy a product that's $200, when the product goes to the checkout page, it shouldn't become $500 or $100. The prices should be consistent in every part of our system, every part of our service. And we are also going to be ensuring that our system has a low latency. For example, when you search for a product, it shouldn't take you more than 2 microseconds to get your results. There should be no delay when you refresh your own page trying to see the newest products Amazon has. There should be no delay whatsoever. We are doing when you're trying to make payments, there should be no delay. We are going to be ensuring that. So we are going to be discussing the design of our API, our endpoints. What are the parameters we are passing to each endpoint for it to display or return an accurate result to our end user. Firstly, we are going to be discussing the get recommendation endpoints. For our recommendation endpoint to work, we have to pass a parameter called the user ID. The currently logged in user, when we pass their ID to our get recommendation endpoint, it returns a list of recommended products for them based on what they've been searching in the past few weeks or months or days. Secondly, we are going to be discussing how the search functionality work. We are going to pass the user ID of the currently logged in person and the search term. So once we pass those 2 parameters into our functions, it's going to return a list of products. You can specify in your code the amount of products you want to be returned. It can be 20, 30, 100, what type of similar products. Let's say a customer searches for a sneakers, and in that same endpoint you can decide to return some shoes too. So you can specify that in your code. You just have to pass the user ID and the search term, and you specify the amount of products you want to be returned. Thirdly, we are going to be discussing the add to cart functionality. When you add a product to carts, let's say you add a cap or anything, you add it to your cart, what really happens behind the scene. So we have to pass the user ID, the product ID, the quantity and amount to that endpoint for it to work perfectly. We're going to be, and after passing these parameters to our add to cart function, then we have a response, a boolean response, either true or false, if what we have just done is worked or it didn't work. So we are going to be also designing the place order functionality. For this endpoint to work, we have to, when you want to place order after adding to your cart, when you want to actually place what you added, you want to buy what you've added to your cart. So we just have to pass the user ID of the user, the order ID, the product you are ordering, the ID of it, the address you specified in your, I think this is supposed to be address, not ID, sorry. This is supposed to be address, the address you've specified in your profile, then and the address, so they know where they are bringing the product to, and your payment status, if if your payment was successful, that's going to be a boolean, true or false. Then after you've placed an order, then it will return a value, a boolean value, either true or false, if everything worked fine. Now if, let's say, your payment status wasn't correct, this is going to return. If your payment status is false, let's say your payment wasn't recorded in the system, or when you were trying to pay there was a network problem, it's going to return false. And last but not the least, we are going to be designing our check order status. After you order for your product, you definitely want to see what's the status of the product, if it has been shipped from the shop where the product was, and if it's already in the Amazon company or the Jumia company, waiting to be given to a delivery agent to bring to your specified address. We're going to also be designing how this functionality works. So after you check the order of your status, it returns the order of your status, if it has been shipped, if it's been delivered, or whatever way the creators of the business decide to put it. So firstly, we are going to be discussing the search functionality. When you search for a product on an e-commerce site, what really goes on behind the scene. So firstly, when you search for a product, the request hits a load balancer or an API gateway, whatever you choose to call it. And if you don't know what load balancers are, I have a video in my channel where I discuss what load balancing is, what they are, and how they work. You can watch it and come back to this video. So our request hits our load balancer, then our load balancer reroutes our request to the appropriate server, the one with the least request. And let's say after you search for a term, it sends your request to our search service, our search service server. Then our search service server will take your request and send it to our Elasticsearch. Now we use Elasticsearch because it's faster and it also helps with our typo. Let's say you're trying to search for iPhone and you type IPHON instead of IPHONE. It already know that you meant iPhone, so it's going to return to you list of iPhones. It's that smart. So after our Elasticsearch goes into our database and returns a specified list of the products that you want. Let's say you search for iPhone the incorrect way, and it goes to our database and brings out a list of iPhones for you to see. Then after it goes to our database, it returns the list of the products to you, and you can see that for yourself. Then I didn't discuss this because I wanted us to understand how this works perfectly. Let's say after you search for a product and that search term hits our search service server, our search service server is going to save what you just searched for in our search history database for recommendation purpose. So it saves that term to our search history database. After it saves that, then it sends that request to our generate recommendation service for recommendation purpose. So it gives you products related to what you always search for. Now this service it generates recommendation service. Let's say you often search for iPhones, so this service now is going to go into our search history database and look for the things that you search more about. Let's say you search for iPhones more, then you start generating more phone content, more phone recommendations. You're going to get that on your homepage. You start seeing more Samsung, more Techno. You start seeing more phones on your recommendation page. So then after that, it saves that to, after generating recommended products for you, it saves that to our recommendation database and just keeps it there. So whenever you come to the site, whenever you just open Amazon, Flipkart or Jumia, something happens, it's going to hit our gets. Whenever you just open the app, it's going to hit our gets recommendation service. Our get recommendation service is going to go to our recommendations database, and it's going to give back recommended products for you specifically. If you search for more phones, when you open the app, you are going to start seeing more phones, different sort of phones, different phones. So that's how the get recommendation service and functionality works. Once you open the app, it hits this endpoint, get recommendation service. The get recommendation service hit our gets recommendation database, and you see more recommended product, and you'll be surprised how it works. So this is how it's done. So we're discussing the add to cart and place order functionality. So we can add to carts in two different ways. When we search for products, we search for a particular product, and when we see the product, we can add to carts, or we can add to carts in our recommendation page. When we just open our e-commerce site, we see various products, we can just add to cart from that place. So there are two different ways we add to carts. When we search for a service, when we search for service and we see a product that we like or prefer, we can add that to carts. After adding to carts, what our item is added to our cart database. So when you see an icon, then you see an icon. When you click on the icon, you see what you've added to carts. Or when you just open your e-commerce site or app, you just see recommended product for you based on what you've been searching for a while. Then from that very page, you can just add whatever you see, whatever you prefer or want to the carts. You can just add that to your carts. Maybe later you like to place an order. Then from your recommendation page, you add to cart. Then what you've added to cart will be stored in our cart database just for future purpose in case you try to place order. Then when you try to place an order, what you've placed to cart, when you try to place an order, you try to pay for it, then a request is sent to our cart database. That item that was added to your cart databases will be removed. After it's removed, it will be sent back to our place order service. After it's sent back to our place order service is going to save that item to our order database. I'm going to go again. After placing an order, the place order service goes to our carts database. What was added to our carts, then it removes it from our carts database and brings it back to our place order service. Our place order service then saves that item to our order database. Then after saving to our order database, then possibly it sends out notification to the customer and also to the shop, the seller whose product had just been bought. Then I think that's all. I think it's this simple. So this is the design for our order status functionality and our product review functionality. Let's say you've placed an order and you are trying to see the status of your order, if your order has been shipped, if it's been delivered, or whatever the status may be. You may want to see, let's say you try to check the order status of your cap that you just placed an order on. Your request first of all hits a load balancer. After hitting the load balancer, the request is sent to our order status service. Our order status service goes to our database and checks for the order for you and gives you the order status. If it has been shipped, if it's been delivered, you get that result. Then let's say after the result comes to you and it's a very good cap, you really like it, you can try to give review, you can comment on that product so other customers see your review and they would be prompt to buy too. And if it's a bad product, you can do the opposite. Let's say you try to give a review of the cap you just bought, the request hits a load balancer, our load balancer sends the request to our product review service. Our product review service saves that review to our product review database. And when anybody comes to that product and they just scroll down, they're going to see what your review is about. So thank you guys. Please, I put in a lot of efforts to create this for you. If you find anything here helpful, please, I want you to help me subscribe, like, and comment down what you found most helpful in this video. And trust me, I'm going to be bringing more content just like this for us. Thank you.